So I'm going to continue to strip the bike in this one, but while I've still got the wiring loom on, I'm going to reattach the battery and hopefully still be able to turn the engine over. And then that way I can perform a compression test and just make sure that the piston rings are okay and that the valves are seated okay, and take it from there. So I lifted the fuel tank. Just need to disconnect that hose. I've got it set to off, so in theory the tank shouldn't leak, but I dare say we're going to lose a bit of fuel. Fuel filter there. Thought that'd leak a little bit when I took that off, but that hasn't, thankfully. Okay, next job, get the airbox out of the way. This tool is an absolute must. I think it was only 40 quid on Amazon. It's not mega powerful, but as you just saw, it's good for winding out some long bolts and back in. Just take some pictures to help me remember what goes where when I start putting this back together. Although these bolts look the same, they're actually different lengths, so I'm just going to put them back in the holes where they came, just to help me remember when I put it back together. Right, so if we have a look down here, we've got the fuel filter, which goes into this, which I can only assume is the fuel pump. That then line comes out and goes to the fuel rail on the carbs. So I'm going to disconnect the fuel pump, and then that way when I'm turning the engine over, if there is any fuel anywhere in this line, it won't try to spread it everywhere. There we go. Right, so we're down as far as the spark plugs. These coil packs on these, ignition magnetos, whatever they're called. Right, let's get them off, get the plugs out. As you can see, there's no bolt holding these in. They're just seated with that rubber seal. I'm going to try and get rid of any loose debris, because obviously when I take the spark plugs out, I don't want anything falling into the cylinders. So these, interesting to look at these spark plugs, because the colour of the spark plugs will give us a bit of a clue as to how the engine was running. Wow, that's pretty clean. I was expecting that to come out black or brown or something, and then I have to look up what that meant, but I'd say that was pretty good. Looking good, looking good. Although these could have been replaced to try and sort out the missing, because I don't know if you saw the last video when I actually got this running, it was missing quite badly. And probably one of the first things I'd do in that instance is change the spark plugs. Number 3 again. Suspiciously clean. Right, battery's fully charged. Let's see if we can get it to crank over. Next one. So as you can see on here, I'm looking for about 150 ideally. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near there, but that would be the sweet spot. I think this bike, it recommends between 138 and 210 psi. Now it is cold, so that is going to play some effect, but let's just see how we get on. That's not too good. Okay, let's test number 2. Right, I've been getting some pretty inconsistent results. But what I'm finding is I'm not able to get this adapter seated properly. I can tell by the sort of the number of turns I get on each cylinder is different. I've tried sort of recutting the thread by putting the original spark plugs in and out, and it's just fairly tight even with this, and I don't want to over tighten it with this and risk the adapter sticking in. So I'm going to use this one, which you basically just hold into place, so it's nowhere near as accurate, but just give me a bit of an idea. So I'll just plug that in, make sure it's seated, apply a bit of pressure. Number 1. Get 150, that's pretty good. Number 2. Again, 150. That's good again. Let's try number 3. $120, so that isn't so good. And let's try number 4. $180. So rule of thumb is you shouldn't have more than 10% difference between the lowest and the highest. So my lowest is just over 120, wasn't it, on cylinder 3, and cylinder 4 is 180. So that would indicate we're going to need to do some work. What I could do at this stage, I suppose, is I could put a bit of oil into the cylinders and try running this test again, and that might give me an idea as to whether it's the piston rings that are the issue rather than the valves. But I think I'm just going to strip it down, and I was going to do things like the valve stem seals anyway, and perhaps reseat the valves and stuff. And it looks like I may need to rehome the cylinders as well, possibly even replace the piston rings. Boom. One set of carbs. Okay, so we can actually see here as well where the alarm breaks the connection. So I've got an original wire here going to the alarm, and then that second wire comes back from the alarm back to the original wire, so it creates a break between the two, and when the alarm is deactivated it will obviously recreate that circuit. So I should just be able to get rid of these. I'll sort the wiring loom out properly at a later date. So we've got a similar sort of deal here with the alarms patching into the main loom. I'll tidy up the loom. I may even replace the wiring loom, depending on how bad it is. Boom. One wiring loom. Jesus. Is this bike ever going to go back together? So there we have it. So that's all the wiring removed, or nearly all the wiring removed. The main wiring loom's gone, ECU's gone, rectifier in here, just need to take off the subframe. Carburetors removed. Yeah, quite a lot of progress. Shame about the compression test, but I was already thinking I was going to strip the engine down anyway. It wasn't the best way to do it. I know the engine wasn't warm. I couldn't get the compression tester to seat consistently across all 4 cylinders, but I'm going to strip it down anyway. It's all part of the journey. This is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be able to strip the bike right down, get all the parts on the bench, fix them, rebuild them, recondition them, do whatever, and get it back together. If you're not already a subscriber and you want to follow my journey with this bike, please consider subscribing. I also do lots of other bike related content as well as cars and a little bit of flying. But yeah, with that said, see you in the next one. Bye.